Welcome back. Thank you so very much for staying with us here on Breakfast Daily. We have more interesting stuff for you. So it's good that you stayed on with us. It's time now for our nutrition segment. And this morning we're discussing food waste. Interesting topic because where I grew up, Charlie, there's no way you're going to waste food. My mom, when she's dishing out the food, has a cane by her. So you take exactly what you can eat. If you take more, you go and waste it, you are in trouble. But to help us with the issues and, of course, a proper understanding of exactly what food waste is Pearl Kitcher. She is a public health nutritionist. She is a researcher and an entrepreneur. Good morning, Pearl.
Hello, good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Oh, you have such a beautiful smile.
Thank you.
I like it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. Oh, Frema, what's the for?
Man can breathe longer.
Oh, that didn't sound like you breathing. It sounds more like a
No,
sigh.
I just love the intro and the connection and everything. Hi, Pearl.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Hi.
Anyways, Pearl, so we're talking food waste and, of course, managing food waste. But what exactly would food waste be?
Okay, so when we talk about food waste, 3 words come to mind. The first word is excess, meaning food in abundance or leftover food.
Right.
The second word is access, food that comes readily available to us. And then the third word is opportunity. This is an opportunity for change. And this is an opportunity where we can think of ways to preserve food. That's basically what food waste brings to mind.
Okay. But the only word amongst the 3 that struck me in relation to waste was the excess.
Excess.
Yes, because you know we chew bones in this country.
Yeah, we do.
There's a story as to why we chew bones in this country, because when we were growing up, you're not sure when or where your next meal is coming from. So you are chewing the bone to sustain for as long as
you get another bone.
You get another bone.
Well, but have you been to a buffet?
Oh yeah.
Do you think we consume all the food on that buffet table? No. So all the rest of it goes waste. In restaurants, in shops, the food that is not bought on the shelves that ends up becoming expired, it all goes waste. So that's what we are looking at. Even in our households, we buy foods from the market and we end up not using all of it. And it goes bad and then we have to throw them away.
You know, there's something that struck me. So what should we do? Should we now shop in smaller quantities? Should we shop, because in terms of cost, it's cheaper when you buy in bulk.
Bulk, yes.
Okay. I also agree that if you're not careful, so for instance, you are buying yam, you are buying plantain and all this, these are highly perishable goods that if you do not consume immediately, they are going to perish. So how do you now, the management aspect of it, are we supposed to buy in small? Are we supposed to, let's say buy the yam, maybe peel it, put it in a freezer or fridge, or how do we do it? Because sometimes I don't think that we literally want to throw money away, but if the yam is spoiled, the yam is spoiled.
Yeah, so going back to what food waste is, so when you consider something called a mind map, like a cloud, thinking through what food waste is, you see that people lack the awareness of what wasting food could lead to. And now you're talking of cost, meaning that when we waste a lot of food, it ends up becoming cost to us. But we are unaware of that. And now we need to start thinking of ways to be able to preserve food, and that's why we've started such conversations, right? So simple ways we could do refrigeration, and aside that, if you have excess fruits at home, you can just juice it up. You turn it into a juice or a smoothie, and then you refrigerate, or you put it in the freezer if you don't have immediate use for it. And the basic preservation tips, like when we're growing up and you have to dry out some of the items, that's also there. And then if you have spices, you can blend them up and bottle them. Yes. And you remember pickling pepper. Yes, so you just do that and dry it in the sun. So these are basic ways that are cost effective and also minimally, you don't need so much to do that. To be able to extend the shelf life of your food.
But these are foods that have not been cooked. So your fish you can dry, you can fry and keep it, you can freeze it actually. But now you have cooked your MPC,
Right.
you know, you couldn't finish everything. So there's a bit of a pim left, a bit of yam, it's become some way. You know, sometimes you really wish you wouldn't throw these foods away, but I don't know what else to do with the plantain that I cooked and there's leftover. This is cooked. And you know plantain, when you put it in the fridge and you bring it back, it tastes different. So stuff like that, what do we do?
That's why you have to be intentional, especially when you are cooking. You know the numbers of people you are cooking for. So if you think if this food goes left over, you are not going to be able to enjoy it as much as you can, then you don't cook so much of it that will go waste. And also you don't heap your plate so much. You have to take in what you think you can eat. And it's even better to take in a little, and then if you are not okay, you just top it up, because when you heap your plate and you don't finish the food on the plate, obviously no one wants to eat food that you have left over on your plate. So these are just basic things.
You know, talking about heaping your plate, you know that sometimes you go to events and there's buffet, and the way people are heaping food, you want to go over to somebody and say, Madam, why? You know, that kind of thing. And these are people that they will eat, they will leave it, go for something else and all that. So can we be advocates? But it's a bit offensive.
I know, but you see, sometimes it's like the plate is so heaped, you can barely even see the person sitting opposite where you are sitting. And while we are wasting food, we have to consider we live in a paradox where there's excess, there's also scarcity. So for those that have access to the food and are wasting it, while you are wasting it, you are depriving someone else of getting the food. Some people are starving. Some people are malnourished because they don't have access to food. So if you have access to food, you don't have to waste it, because if the food remains wholesome, that food could be sent to another group of people who do not have access. So imagine that we set up a buffet table and then some of the food has been left behind, but we've not touched it. That food can be donated to another group of people who do not have access to food. So if you think of it that way, you will not waste food, because you know that eating so much or wasting it is depriving someone else of wholesome food.
So can you quickly, Pearl, you know, take us through some basics? So for instance, if you have leftover yam, you can maybe transform it to this. If you have leftover, you know, sometimes you cook rice, okay, you want to do omutu, but you don't end up putting all the rice into balls. Then there's some left. You know, that one stew is not there, you know, because that wasn't the plan. So there are certain leftover foods that really you don't know. Most of the time what I do is when I have plain rice and maybe I have rice and stew, you know, and there's some left, I could turn it to fried rice. But rice sometimes is easy to manage. But you did fufu, you know, the children didn't eat everything. There's a bit left. I mean, where I come from, you can't eat fufu. No. You know, Royal doesn't eat fufu. You know, so but these are practical, I mean, reasons. Sometimes you look at the food, you see it, and then you are going to throw it away. So what can we prepare out of what?
Yes, so becoming innovative with our recipes, right? So like you said, rice, so you could use your leftover and turn it, add vegetables, and then you get some mixed vegetable rice, you know, from it. And sometimes you have some leftover fruits, like I said, and then you turn it into smoothies or juices. Sometimes you have some soups, you know, and you're tired of eating the soup with the fufu or with the banku, and you know the soup becomes thicker as you keep, you know. So then you come up with something, you know. Yes, you can then end up eating it with yam instead of eating it with, you know. And sometimes if food is going bad, you don't have to eat it with the intention that you're trying to stop food waste, no, because you can end up harming yourself. So you just have to become innovative with these recipes and try out new things, you know.
But how important is it for people to be aware of, I mean, food waste? Because people are on the go. We are in a hurry. So me, I've cooked, I've eaten. I don't have time to go through this process of.
I bought it myself.
Exactly. So how important is it that we are aware of food waste?
Okay, so basically, if you are not intentional about what you eat, and like you're saying, maybe you cook today and you don't want to repeat the same meal tomorrow, and you are just wasting it, it ends up costing you, because money that you could set aside for something else, you have to use it to buy food every day. Like, you have to buy foodstuffs every day. But if you cook in bulk and you refrigerate some or you freeze some, you have enough food, so you can think of other things. You can think of even maybe going to a spa, taking care of self-care, or you can think of other things. Once you've sorted food, water, basic needs, food, water, shelter, once you've sorted those basic needs, you can go on and think of other things, like adding value to yourself. But if you don't do that, and you're always spending money on food, you end up not using money for other things. And sometimes too, because we are wasting so much food, that's what I said, it reduces other people the opportunity to get access to wholesome food.
Okay, so how does having a proper planned diet or a meal plan feed into the wastage?
Right. So it's all about the intentionality and eating balanced meals. Okay. So we talked about buying in bulk. Yeah. So when you buy in bulk, you save up money. You buy in bulk, you cook in bulk. You cook different meals from the same ingredients, because we've also talked about becoming innovative with our recipes. So you cook different meals with the same ingredients, so now you have different foods and you are getting different nutrients from all these foods, and also you are managing your portions, so then you are not eating in excess to get excess energy that the body doesn't want. Okay,
so I mean, with respect to the plan, so on Monday, say I want to do ampesi, on Tuesday I want to do banku and okro. How do we plan this in having wastage at the back of our heads? Yeah. So we're planning our meal for the entire week, but in doing so, we don't want to waste.
Yes. So it's also being mindful of the number of people consuming in a typical household. You know the number of people you are cooking for. You know how many days you want to eat this meal. So you have all that at the back of your mind before you go ahead and cook. So you don't just get up and cook because you feel like cooking, but you also plan and you add some intentionality to it. So when you do it that way, you end up not wasting the food.
Yeah. So when you're planning for your meals, okay, now that we have food wastage management at the back of our minds, would you say that, for instance, if you are eating let's say rice and stew on Monday, maybe you do fried rice on Tuesday. If you do yam and stew on Wednesday, maybe think of eto or potompoto on let's say Thursday. Just so that you are managing leftovers. So the leftover for Monday can be a different meal for Tuesday. So that we know that we are done with the rice and all those things, and then we can maybe banku. So now we have, let's say, Wednesday banku and okra stew. Think of maybe banku and pepper and fish on Thursday. Can a plan like this work?
Exactly, and that is what we talk about, dietary diversity. Because when you are diverse in your dietary intakes, then you start getting nutrients from them. So imagine that today I eat rice with stew, right? The normal gravy that we know. You are having tomatoes, onions, you are getting all your herbs and spices in there, you are getting fish in there. Then the following day, instead of eating rice with stew, the gravy, you now eat it with contomere. So now you're getting the greens as well. And then on another day, you decide that, oh, I have this leftover garden egg stew, so I eat it with apim. Then you cook apim and add to your garden egg stew. So now you're eating different nutrients. And when you look at vegetables, for example, each one has a different color. And from all the colors, each one has what it imparts. So each of them have different nutrients, and when you are eating the diverse diet, then you are getting all the nutrients that the body needs in order for you to be healthy.
Right. You know, it sounds like a great plan, which I like, but you know, sometimes reality will hit you differently. So it's Saturday morning, I go to the market with a particular range of prices in my head. So I have my meal plan and everything, and I know I'm going to buy X amount of onions, X amount of tomatoes, yam, whatever. But I get there and there's a reduction in prices.
Reduction.
Yes, so the prices are lower than so now I have excess money.
Okay.
Typically, I would want to buy more.
Buy plenty because next week, you know, the
prices may go
will
up
surge,
again.
yeah.
So in this instance, what do I do?
Okay, so I will look at both paradoxes. In terms of you go in and then things are so expensive, your little budget cannot even buy.
Yeah,
and then you go in and it's, you know, there's sales going on, discounts and things, and then you have so much money on you, so you start buying on impulse. You have to just be mindful of buying on impulse, because sometimes you end up buying things you don't need. That's why sometimes when you are going to the market or to the grocery shop, you have to go with a shopping list. So once you've listed out the items you need, you have to exhaust those items first, because you wrote them at home, meaning that you knew you needed those items before you stepped out. Because sometimes when you enter a place like a supermarket or even the market, your eyes would see certain things and you start thinking you need them. Maybe you actually do not need them. So you have to exhaust the items on your list first before you start thinking of other things.
But if I go and the tomatoes is cheap, can I buy plenty and come and blend and put in the freezer?
Yes, you can buy what you think, but also while you are buying, you think of others that will also need some. So you don't buy all and clear the shelf.
Oh, you buy the whole track.
You buy the entire market.
But you remember in COVID when there was the lockdown, sometimes you go and people have what?
But that was panic shopping.
Exactly.
Because that one, you didn't know at what point the lowest app could be open for them to tell you that go out. You understand?
Right.
So make sure that you have enough.
Exactly.
If you have to stay home for long.
But when you buy, you also like being mindful of other people, because we want to sustain our food system such that the generations that are yet unborn will also have access to it.
But perhaps a final one for me. What if I'm done cooking and I don't get the desired taste?
Desired taste?
Yes.
Can I dash the food to somebody and cook another one?
Oh, you can add more, you know.
Whatever you can add to get the desired taste.
Yeah, because you've cooked the food
so
already.
You don't waste it.
Yes, so you don't waste it.
No, but you cooked it, so eat it.
Yeah, I
next
know,
time do better.
Perhaps I had perceived a certain taste I was hoping to achieve.
And sometimes the issue is you also feel I still have the ingredients, you know, so what's the big deal? Let me just throw this away and then do another one.
Oh, but you know, you've cooked and it's ready, but maybe the salt is a bit too much. For example, if it's stew, then you could consider doing a bit extra of the tomato paste without salt. Then you add it to it so that you can neutralize the salt content. So you just have to come up with innovative ways to be able to manage it.
Carol, so how do people get in touch with you?
Okay, so you can reach me on LinkedIn. The name is Pearl Kitcher, and I'll always be in touch with you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll get in touch, you know,
right,
and we'll have a conversation on that. All
right.
right. So